Find this special task to actually merge both the huge departments or companies or operations rather and into one and give it a Unisian form of utility to the consumer. So I think he can tell more about it, Mr. Shah Jahan Mirza.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Minister Energy, Government of Sindh, Imtiaz Sheikh Sahab, Chairman Afradosi Faruqi Sahab, Anish Yunus Sahab from Ember Corporation, and Country Manager Huawei, Mr. Robin, Mr. Naeem Qureshi. It is indeed a pleasure and honor for me to be here for this event and getting an opportunity to talk to you. I congratulate the organizer for arranging this event at a time when the power sector of Pakistan is in a transformation phase. So we really intend to, the government, NEPRA and the other stakeholders, they really intend to transform the power sector of Pakistan at a very fast pace and with some of the objectives. So I congratulate the organizer for arranging this event. I know Mr. Naeem Qureshi, I think since very long time. I remember I was Executive Director of Finance and Policy at AEDB about 15, 16, 17 years ago when Mr. Naeem Qureshi came to me and he discussed that we want to launch a magazine dedicated to the energy events and energy sector of Pakistan. So I really appreciated this idea because at that time we did not have any dedicated magazine for the energy sector. So it is 15 years now and I think the energy update has come up a long way to be a renowned and probably one of the best magazine covering the energy sector of Pakistan. So I congratulate Energy Update and Mr. Naeem Qureshi and his team on this great achievement, so bringing some of the thoughts and some of the ideas and developments in the energy sector of Pakistan. So with this coming back to the today's subjects, Chairman NEPRA, Mr. Tasif Faruqi is quite learned and eloquent speaker, so he has left very little for me to cover, but I'll try to adapt shortly on the subject. Actually, before coming back to Pakistan, if you have chance to look at The Economist last week, they have given an international report on the renewable energy, and what they have put up actually that there is $35 trillion investment is needed in the next 10 years till 2030 to achieve the global commitment goal of net zero emission. So this 35 trillion is a huge target, not in terms of arranging the financing and funding to meet this target, but also what that report points out that probably we getting into the shortage of the materials and the supplies which are required to make this PV solars and wind turbines. So that is another challenge which is coming up in achievement of this net zero emission targets. The other thing which, to my surprise, which they have mentioned, that is the approval process in all the governments. That is very tedious and very long process, which is actually slowing down the development of the RE technology. And to my surprise, and maybe to the surprise of most of the participants, the US is leading actually in terms of delay and long time in development of the RE projects. So that is the leading country, and what average time they have put up for the land lease and other regulatory requirement approval is 5 to 10 years for RE projects. And that leads to, it was conclusion of the report that if we put together all the EU RE projects, it's only, and compare it with the US, US has only set up 1% of the EU RE projects compared to the EU. So that is astonishing and surprising. So with this thing in mind, and as I said, the government intends to go in a big way in terms of transformation of the power sector in Pakistan. Mr. Aziz has already mentioned that one initiative which government is doing in terms of ease of doing business and in terms of making the process easier for the investor in the merger of the two organizations, the PPIB, Private Power and Infrastructure Board, and the Alternate Energy Development Board. As most of you will be knowing, PPIB has a history of development of 17,500 megawatt, and more than 50% of the installed capacity is now in the private sector. So with this history and this background, and providing a true one-window facility to the investor, the government has taken this decision and it has been approved by the federal cabinet. Now there is a process of legal amendment in the acts of both organizations, so that process is going to take some time. So looking at this objective, what we currently have in the grid, that is around 6%. The renewable energy projects, about 2,000 megawatt, that constitutes 6% of the installed capacity. And as Asif Faruqi sir has mentioned, the government wants to take it to 30% by 2030. If we alone look at the RE, which include mainly the wind, solar and the bagasse projects, and if we add it to the hydro, this is going to go above 60%, which for any developing countries or the countries in the region, that is the excellent achievement if we can do that. So we need to gear up for that. The RE policy 2019 has set up the main mode of acquiring the projects into the competitive bidding process. So that's what we are prepared to do that. We are just waiting for approval of the indicative generation expansion plan, which has been submitted to NEPRA. NEPRA has had a marathon hearing last week on this. So we are expecting in the next few weeks that would be finalized, and that will give AEDB a go-ahead to go for the competitive bidding process for the RE. In this initiative, as we were saying that the RE is really an off-grid subject. So the other initiative which was started by the government with the support of NEPRA, that is the net metering. So today we have over 11,000 connection of net metering, and this small amount is now adding up to about 200 megawatt. So this is coming up as a big competitor to the national grid. And as we create this competition between the distribution companies and the self-generation, we hope that the distribution companies and the public sector providing electricity service is also going to come up into the competition and improve its performance. Other than that, government is taking many initiatives to bring the competition, which includes the privatization of the distribution companies and so on and so forth. With this, I would say that the next target of the renewable energy is very, very critical, and off-grid solution, we are working on that. In the AEDB, we have also started doing the feasibility of doing some of the remote areas of Balochistan based on the either standalone rooftop solar or mini grid or micro grid. So that feasibility study is going to start soon. Similarly, we are working on conversion of 14,000 agriculture tube wells in Balochistan to the solar energy. That project is also going on. Apart from that, you might be aware, and you have seen it is available on the World Bank and AEDB website also. World Bank has carried out a very VRE locational study, which actually gives that how much our grid can absorb in the present condition, the RE, because as mentioned earlier, the RE has a serious issue of intermittency and volatility, and our grid, which is basically very old, so that needs a lot of reinforcement and upgradation to absorb the RE technology in a big way. So World Bank study has helped us to identify that what is the current potential of induction into the grid of the RE. With that, we are also identifying the bottlenecks and the area where reinforcement is needed. So in one of the areas, one of the grid in the Jintil, a pilot project is being started by NTDC to create a battery backup in the grid to cover the intermittency of the wind energy projects. So all in all, this is a great initiative on which we are working with the government of Sindh. I would certainly appreciate the Minister of Energy Sindh, which has emerged as a real troubleshooter. I have worked with the government of Sindh in the Tharkol projects also. So we have about 4,000 megawatt of Tharkol portfolio in the PPIB also. And we are working with the government of Sindh on the RE project also. So whenever we have some problem, I generally call the Minister Sahib and the problem is resolved. So that is, I think, the initiative and the personal interest which is taking these projects forward. So with this, I would really like to learn. This is more like learning from me from this session rather than delivering something. So these are the initiatives that I take permission. If there are any questions we want to cover now. Any questions? I think your previous question was answered by the NEPA. And one thing which I would like to add to your previous question, there is a plan that maybe in a year or so, there will be no generation license requirement even from NEPRA for starting your own generation if it is not connected to the grid. So government is liberalizing the market. So that reminds me one more initiative, that is the CTBCM, which is a competitive market on which government is working very seriously. And this market is going to be launched by mid of next year. So that will start the wholesale trading of electricity in the country, and the generators will be free to sell and purchase from this market. So that will be another initiative which will create competition and the efficiencies in the market. Please.
Point of CTBCM and discussion with Chairman NEPA lately. Wheeling is condition precedent for CTBCM.
Yeah.
And because of stranded costs and cross subsidies, DISCOs have gone to the court and taken a stay against the wheeling determination made by NEPA. Unless and until stay evacuated, I think CTBCM will be stalled for the timing. So requested, we have to do something together. It's a very good idea to have multi-buyer, multi-seller market. There are other issues as well with it, really. We may discuss them later. But now coming back to my real question to you, it's very good that you confirm there is one window operation of AEDB. It's still there. The window is still there. It was there before as well, but the people behind the window kept on changing. So perhaps there will be some stability in that respect. Question number 2 is that we have heard very little from AEDB for the last 4 or 5 years. The progress has stalled as far as the renewables are concerned. And since there are 25 to 40 LOIs which are waiting for RFP or competitive bidding, if you could please let us know what is happening with this RFP.
Briefly on your first part, I don't have any doubt that the NEPRA and the government has any intentions to stop this wheeling arrangement. The legal process, you know, is what the time what it takes. So NEPRA and the government both are actually following it so that this could be concluded soon. And even if that wheeling stay is there, probably the DISCOs can buy trade and the bulk power consumers can buy and sell on that market on a limited scale. Obviously, unless wheeling is fully allowed, it will not be on a larger scale. But at least limited scale, we can test the market and start the market. On the second issue, we have prepared the RFP. NEPRA has already approved that RFP. So AEDB is ready for the bidding process. The only thing where the policy paused, because there is a conception or misconception, whatever you say, that we have surplus capacity. So based on that assumption, the RE Energy Policy 2019 you might have seen, that strictly was that unless the generation expansion plan is finalized, no new power induction will be made. So that's the only thing which is stopping us. And as I said, the NEPRA has already carried out hearing, and hopefully in the next couple of months that generation plan will be there, and we'll be starting bidding for that competitive process for the category 3 projects. On the other issue, we are also looking at converting the existing wind projects into the hybrid, where there's a wind power project, we can set up a solar facility within that land and within that area. That will increase the efficiency and the coordination of those projects and cut the cost of the infrastructure which stays idle when one resource is not available. So these are the initiatives, and hopefully this is nothing individual or nothing personality based, but you will see AEDB very active coming forward. In this situation, in terms of ease of doing business, we are, by end of this month or early next month, we are issuing the new certification regulation for net metering, which will be very simple and quick compared to the current certification regulation of AEDB. So we are taking a lot of initiatives. You will see result inshallah in the next few months, and hopefully in the next few months, before end of this year, we will be able to carry out this competitive bidding for the RE projects also. Ji, thank you.
I have a question.
Let's last question.
Okay. First of all, I would like to congratulate and appreciate the efforts of NEPRA and AEDB for the renewable energy enhancement in Pakistan. And the second one is that I would like to ask that what steps we are going to take to promote this technology in Pakistan, because I see many laymen and in the rural areas, people don't have much education about the solar, the net metering process, and they don't know how to handle these processes and cases. So what we are doing to make them educated, because it's a huge part of our population, and if we will educate that section, the layman and the normal people, the residential systems for this process, we can achieve a much more reduction on the national grid. So what are
Thank you. I think this is a good idea. We can launch a campaign actually to educate the people on the solar system and its benefit. But so far the limitation is that the net metering is not allowed for the single phase meters as you know. So working and discussion is going on if it is allowed on the single phase metering. Probably that will expand the scope of this net metering a lot. But standalone solar, if you don't connect to the grid, I think that's where we need to give more education. And as I said, government is working on an initiative actually to develop off-grid solar, maybe microgrid in the remote areas. Government of Sindh has done a lot of work on that. I will leave it to the minister. I'm sure they will inform you that what government of Sindh has done in terms of providing the solar electricity to the government buildings and all. So with that, thank you very much for your patient hearing.